Hyun-woo Kim stood alone in the giant crystal chamber. The floor under his feet glowed with soft blue light. Above him, 12 different alien races sat in their special seats. Each race looked different from the others. Some had long arms, some had big eyes. Some floated in glass boxes filled with strange gas. The room was so big that Hyun-woo felt very small. He was the only human here. Everyone else was an alien. They all stared at him with eyes that did not look friendly. A voice spoke from somewhere in the walls. The words came out in perfect English, but Hyun-woo knew the aliens were not really speaking his language. They used machines to change their words. "Human Ambassador Kim," the voice said, "you stand before the Galactic Council. We have called you here to give your species one last chance." Hyun-woo looked up at the aliens. The ones called Velkari looked like tall, thin people with white skin that seemed to glow. They had no hair, and their eyes were completely black. Next to them sat the Keth, who looked like jellyfish floating in clear boxes. Their bodies moved like water, changing shape all the time. The biggest aliens were the Threks. They looked like giant bugs with 6 arms and hard shells on their backs. When they moved, their shells made clicking sounds. Their eyes were red and they had sharp teeth. "We are listening," Hyun-woo said. His voice sounded very small in the huge room. One of the Velkari stood up. The alien was so tall that its head almost touched the ceiling. "I am Vexathala, Prime Speaker of this council. For 3,000 years, we have kept peace in this galaxy. We have rules. All species follow these rules." Hyun-woo waited. He knew what was coming next would not be good news. "Your species does not follow rules," Vexathala continued. "You fight each other. You make weapons. You are dangerous. We cannot let dangerous species spread to other worlds." The Keth in their boxes began to glow brighter. One of them spoke, but its voice sounded like music mixed with whispers. "Humans make war. War is chaos. Chaos destroys peace. We will not allow chaos." A Threx clicked its teeth together. "Humans kill humans. If humans kill humans, humans will kill others. This cannot happen." Hyun-woo felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "What exactly are you saying?" Vexthala's black eyes stared down at him. "We are giving your species 30 days. In 30 days, all human ships must return to your home system. No human may leave the area around your sun. If humans try to leave, we will stop them." "And if we refuse?" Hyun-woo asked. The room became very quiet. All the aliens looked at each other. Finally, Vexathala spoke again. "Then we will do what is necessary to protect the galaxy." Hyun-woo understood. They were threatening to attack Earth and all human colonies. "You mean you will kill us?" "We mean we will do what we must," Vexthala said. "Your species is too violent, too unpredictable. The galaxy is safer without humans spreading to new worlds." The meeting ended quickly after that. Hyun-woo was given a crystal data chip with the formal demands written on it. As he walked to his ship, he felt the weight of the message he had to carry back to Earth. The trip home took 5 days. During those 5 days, Hyun-woo thought about what he had seen. The aliens were not evil. They really believed humans were dangerous. They had watched humans fight wars against each other for hundreds of years. They had seen humans destroy cities and kill millions of their own kind, but they did not understand humans at all. When Hyun-woo arrived on Earth, he went straight to the president's office. Da-Un Park was a strong woman who had led Earth for 6 years. She had short black hair and eyes that missed nothing. Around the big table sat the most important people on Earth. Admiral Siak Jin Lee was in charge of all human spaceships. He was an old man with gray hair and scars on his hands from his time as a fighter pilot. General Bo Young Choi controlled the Army. She was younger than the Admiral, but just as tough. Fleet Commander Young Ho Nam ran the Space Marines. He was a big man with a loud voice. There was also Diplomatic Chancellor Mi-young Kang, who usually handled talks with aliens. She was smart and careful with words. Intelligence Officer Tae-hyun Shin sat quietly in the corner. He was the man who found out secrets that others wanted to hide. Hyun-woo told them everything. He played the recording of his meeting with the Galactic Council. When it was finished, the room stayed quiet for a long time. Finally, President Park spoke. "So they want us to stay in our own system forever." "Yes," Hyun-woo said. "They think we are too dangerous to be allowed to spread to other worlds." Chancellor Kang leaned forward. "Maybe we can negotiate. We could promise to limit our expansion. We could sign treaties." Admiral Lee shook his head. "They are not interested in treaties. They want us locked up like animals in a cage." General Choi hit the table with her fist. "Let them try to cage us. We have fought bigger enemies before." "Have we?" Intelligence Officer Shin spoke for the first time. His voice was quiet, but everyone listened. "I have been watching alien ship movements for the past month. They have been moving fleets toward our border systems, big fleets." He pressed a button and a star map appeared on the wall. Red dots showed where alien ships were gathering. There were a lot of red dots. "How many ships?" President Park asked. "More than we have ever seen in one place," Shin answered. "They are not planning to just block us from leaving our system. They are planning to attack." The room became very quiet again. Everyone stared at the map with all the red dots. Fleet. Commander Nam stood up. "How long do we have?" 30 days, Shin said. "Maybe less." President Park looked around the table at each person. "Options?" Chancellor Kang spoke first. "We could try to talk to them. Explain that we are not as dangerous as they think." "They have already decided," Admiral Lee said. "Talking will not change their minds." "Then what do you suggest?" President Park asked. The Admiral looked at the star map. "If they want a war, we give them a war." "Against 12 alien species?" Chancellor Kang asked. "We do not even know how advanced their weapons are." General Choi smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Then we better learn fast." Intelligence Officer Shin pressed another button. New information appeared on the screen. "I have been studying their communications. The aliens have been at peace for 3,000 years. They have not fought a real war in all that time." "What does that mean?" President Park asked. "It means they have forgotten how to fight," Admiral Lee said slowly. "They have ships and weapons, but they do not remember how to use them in real combat." Young Ho Nam laughed. "They picked the wrong species to threaten." President Park stood up. "Vote? All in favor of preparing for war?" Every hand went up except Chancellor Kang's. She looked sad, but finally raised her hand too. "Then it is decided," President Park said. "We have 30 days to get ready. If the aliens want to see how dangerous humans can be, we will show them." As everyone left the meeting, Hyun-woo stayed behind with the president. "Do you think we can win?" he asked. Dae-yun Park looked out the window at the city below. Millions of people lived down there. They had no idea that their lives might end in 30 days. "I do not know if we can win," she said, "but I know we will not go quietly into the dark." 3 weeks had passed since the meeting with President Park. Every human settlement from Earth to the far edges of the solar system was working day and night. The sound of hammers and welding tools never stopped. Captain Jin A. Park stood on the observation deck of the Ceres mining station. Below her, workers were turning mining ships into warships. The big machines that once dug rocks from asteroids now carried missiles and laser cannons. "How many more can we convert?" she asked. Her chief engineer, Dong-Hyun Lee, wiped sweat from his face. He had not slept for 2 days. "Maybe 50 more ships. But, Captain, these are not real warships. They are just mining boats with guns stuck on them." Jin-A nodded. "They will have to do. We need every ship we can get." On the other side of the solar system, similar work was happening everywhere. Old passenger ships were being turned into troop carriers. Cargo ships became mobile weapons platforms. Even small personal spacecraft were fitted with whatever weapons humans could find. The aliens watched all of this from their observation posts far outside the solar system. They had placed spy satellites and scout ships to monitor human activity. What they saw confused them. On the Velkari command ship, Sub-Commander Keth Morrell studied the reports from their watchers. "The humans are converting civilian vessels into military ships," he told his superior. Commander Yel Thara looked at the data. "This makes no sense. Civilian ships cannot fight proper war vessels. Why are they wasting time?" Keth Morrell had no answer. In Velkari culture, military ships were built specifically for war. Civilian ships stayed civilian. The idea of mixing the two seemed strange and inefficient. The Threks had similar confusion. In their hive ships, the warrior bugs clicked their mandibles in discussion. "Humans attach weapons to food carrier ships," one scout reported. "This is not logical. Food carriers are not strong enough for battle." The Keth collective consciousness was troubled by human behavior as well. Their telepathic minds could not understand the chaotic way humans organized their defense. There was no central plan that made sense to them. Humans seemed to be doing random things everywhere. But the humans were not being random. They were being human. On Earth, Dr. Soo-Jin Kim worked in her laboratory with a team of scientists. They had alien technology that human traders had bought over the years. Nothing big or important, just small devices and broken parts. But Soo-Jin and her team were taking them apart to learn how they worked. "Look at this," said her assistant, Woo-Jin Choi. He held up a small crystal that glowed with blue light. "This is some kind of power source, but it is completely different from our batteries." Soo-Jin examined the crystal under a microscope. "The aliens use energy in ways we never thought of. If we can figure this out, we might be able to make better weapons." In another part of the lab, strategist Hee-Rin Lee was studying recordings of alien communications. She had been a language professor before the crisis started. Now she was trying to understand how aliens thought. "They are very formal," she told Soo-Jin. "Every message follows exact patterns. They always announce what they are going to do before they do it. They seem to think this is polite." "That could be useful," Soo-Jin said. "If they always tell us their plans ahead of time, we can be ready for them." Hee-Rin nodded. "But there is something else. I think they do not understand surprise attacks. In all their communications, they give warning first. It might be against their nature to attack without warning." While the scientists worked, the military was preparing in its own way Commander Jun-Ho Park led a small fleet of fast ships to the outer edge of the solar system. Their job was to watch for alien movements and to cause trouble if they could. Jun-Ho had been a fighter pilot before he became a commander. He knew how to think quickly and take risks. His ships were small and fast, built for hit-and-run attacks. "Contact. Ahead," reported his sensor operator, Kyungmin Lee. 3 alien supply ships moving toward the Neptune area. Jun-Ho studied the display. The alien ships were big and slow. They probably carried supplies for the main alien fleet. "Any escorts?" "None that I can see, sir." Jun-Ho smiled. "All ships. Attack formation. We are going to give the aliens a welcome gift." The human ships moved in fast and quiet. They used an old trick from submarine warfare on Earth. They approached from the direction of the sun, where the alien sensors would have trouble seeing them. The attack lasted only 10 minutes. The human ships fired all their missiles at once, then disappeared back into space before the aliens could react. 2 of the 3 alien supply ships were destroyed. The 3rd was badly damaged. When news of the attack reached the alien fleet, the commanders were shocked. The Threx had never seen anything like it. "Humans attack without declaring war first," the hive mind buzzed in confusion. "This is not how civilized beings behave." The Velkari were equally disturbed. "They struck without giving us a chance to surrender," Commander Yelthara said. "This violates all the rules of proper warfare." But the humans were just getting started. Captain Min-Ho Kang led another raid against an alien communication station near Pluto. His ship, the destroyer Sol, was one of the few real military vessels humanity had, but even it was not as advanced as alien technology. "Sir, the alien station is heavily shielded," reported his weapons officer, So-Young Lee. "Our normal weapons will not get through." Min-Ho thought for a moment. Then he remembered something from history class. "Load the ship with all the nuclear warheads we have. We are going to ram them." "Sir?" So-Young looked confused. "Ramming attack," Min-Ho explained. "We hit them directly with our ship. The explosion should be big enough to get through their shields." So-Young stared at him. "But, sir, we will not survive that." Min-Ho nodded. "I know, but the mission is more important than our lives." The attack worked. The Sol destroyed the alien communication station, but everyone on the ship died. The explosion was so big that alien ships hundreds of kilometers away felt the shock wave. When the Galactic Council heard about the ramming attack, they held an emergency meeting. "The humans destroyed their own ship to damage one of ours," Vexathala reported. "This is not rational behavior." The Keth Collective shimmered with distress. "Humans choose death over defeat. This is not logical. All species should choose survival." A Threx commander clicked his mandibles nervously. "If humans will kill themselves to hurt us, how can we fight them? Our warriors expect to survive battles." The aliens had studied human history, but they had not really understood it. They had read about human wars, but they thought those wars were just mistakes. They did not realize that humans were naturally good at fighting. The alien leaders decided to send a message to Earth. They wanted to remind humans that resistance was hopeless. The message was received by President Park in her office. She played it for her advisors. "Humans of Earth," the alien voice said through the translator, "you have attacked our ships without provocation. This proves that you are too dangerous to be allowed freedom. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Continue to resist, and we will be forced to destroy you completely." When the message ended, the room was quiet. Finally, Admiral Lee spoke. "Merciful," he said with a bitter laugh. They want to lock us in our own system forever, and they call that mercy. General Choi stood up. Let me send them our answer. President Park nodded. What do you want to tell them? General Choi smiled. Tell them we have a message for them too. If they want to see how dangerous humans can be, they should keep watching. We are just getting started. While the politicians talked, ordinary humans across the solar system continued their work. Families said goodbye to sons and daughters who joined the hastily formed Space Navy. Factories that once made cars and computers now made weapons and armor. On Mars, factory worker Tai-Sung Kim helped build missiles in a plant that used to make farming equipment. Do you think we can really beat them? He asked his supervisor. The supervisor, an older woman named Hae-Jin Park, looked out the factory window at the red Martian sky. I do not know if we can beat them, she said, but I know they made a big mistake. What mistake? Hae-Jin smiled. They gave us 30 days to get ready. That was long enough for humans to remember what we do best. What is that? Fight, she said simply. Humans have been fighting for thousands of years. We are very good at it. As the deadline approached, the alien fleet continued to gather at the edge of the solar system. They had hundreds of ships with technology that was far more advanced than anything humans possessed. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their shields could stop any human attack. But the aliens had made one crucial error. They thought technology would be enough to win. They did not understand that wars are not won by the side with the best weapons. Wars are won by the side that wants to win the most, and no species in the galaxy wanted to survive more than humans did. The 30 days were over. The alien fleet arrived at Pluto exactly when they said they would. War Master Thelkorian commanded the largest military force the galaxy had seen in 3,000 years. 847 ships from 12. Different species hung in space like angry stars. The Inari battleships were huge metal fortresses with weapons that could crack moons. The Velkari cruisers looked like crystal spears, beautiful and deadly. The Threks sent their hive ships, each one carrying thousands of warrior bugs. Even the peaceful Keth had come, floating in their bioships that looked like giant jellyfish. Against this mighty fleet, humans had only 312 ships. Most of them were converted civilian vessels that looked rough and patched together. Admiral Seok-Jin Lee commanded them from his flagship, the Incheon. It had once been a passenger liner that carried tourists to Mars. The alien fleet arranged itself in perfect formation. Every ship was in its exact place according to ancient military traditions. They had done this same formation for thousands of years. The human fleet looked messy in comparison. Ships of different sizes were scattered around without any clear pattern. To the aliens, it looked like chaos. War Master Thelkorian sent the first message. His voice was transmitted to every human ship. Humans, you have had 30 days to consider our offer. This is your final chance. Surrender now and return to your home system. We will allow you to live in peace as long as you never leave the area around your sun. Admiral Lee answered for humanity. His voice was calm and steady. This is Admiral Seok-Jin Lee of the Earth Defense Fleet. We reject your ultimatum. Humanity will not be caged. Thelkorian sounded genuinely surprised. Then you choose to fight? Against odds that cannot be overcome? We choose to be free, Lee replied. The War Master paused for a moment. Then he spoke again, and this time his voice was sad. So be it. All ships, prepare for combat. We will make this quick and merciful. The alien fleet began its attack exactly as their military manuals instructed. The big ships moved forward slowly while the smaller ships provided support. They fired warning shots first, hoping the humans would still surrender. But humans had never read alien military manuals. Captain Min-Ho Kang commanded the destroyer Busan, one of the few real military ships in the human fleet. When the aliens fired their warning shots, he did not wait for orders. "All power to engines," he told his crew. "Ram the flagship." His crew stared at him. The alien flagship was 20 times bigger than their ship. "Sir, that is suicide," said his weapons officer, So-Young Lee. Min-Ho smiled. "Maybe, but it will hurt them more than it hurts us." The Busan shot forward at full speed, heading straight for Thelkorian's command ship. The aliens were so surprised they forgot to shoot at it for several seconds. When they finally did fire, it was too late. The Busan smashed into the bridge of the alien flagship like a bullet hitting glass. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire that lit up space for thousands of kilometers. The alien fleet stopped moving. They had never seen anything like this. In their long history, no ship had ever deliberately destroyed itself just to damage an enemy. But the humans were just getting started. All across the battlefield, human ships began doing impossible things. Captain Haewon Park of the Converted. Freighter Soul rammed her ship into an alien cruiser when her weapons could not pierce its shields. Before her ship was destroyed, she managed to damage the alien vessel badly enough that it had to retreat. Fighter pilot So-Young Lee led her squadron of small attack ships against the Keth biovessels. The Keth had not fought a real battle in thousands of years. Their ships were designed for exploration and science, not combat. When the human fighters swarmed around them like angry insects, the Keth did not know what to do. So-Young had studied old Earth military history. She used tactics from World War II fighter pilots, attacking from the sun and diving away before the enemy could respond. Her squadron destroyed 6 Keth ships before alien fighters could catch up with them. But the battle was still hopeless for humanity. The aliens had too many ships and too much firepower. One by one, human vessels were being destroyed. Admiral Lee watched his fleet being torn apart. Half his ships were already gone. The aliens barely seemed scratched. "Sir," said his communications officer Chang Woo Kim. "The Beijing is requesting permission to retreat." Lee shook his head. "No retreat. If we run now, they will hunt us down one by one. We make our stand here." Chang Woo nodded and passed the order to the rest of the fleet. "No retreat. Fight to the end." On the alien flagship, War Master Thelkorian was beginning to understand that this battle was different from anything he had studied. "Report," he demanded from his tactical officer. "Sir, we have destroyed 150 human ships, but we have lost 47 of our own vessels." Thelkorian could not believe what he was hearing. "How is that possible? Their ships are primitive. Sir, the humans are not fighting according to any recognized tactical doctrine. They sacrifice their ships to damage ours. They ignore our surrender demands. They attack when logic says they should retreat." The War Master studied the battle display. The human fleet was being destroyed, but they were taking alien ships with them, and they showed no sign of giving up. "Sir," the tactical officer continued, "the humans are using kamikaze tactics. It is a term from their history. It means deliberate suicide attacks. Thelkorian had read about such tactics in ancient human records, but he had thought they were just stories. No civilized species would really throw away lives like that. But humans were doing exactly that. Communications officer Chang Woo Kim stayed at his post even when the bridge of the Incheon caught fire. Half his equipment was destroyed, but he kept coordinating the battle for as long as possible. When shrapnel from an alien missile cut his arm, he wrapped a bandage around it and kept working. "Sir," he reported to Admiral Lee, "the destroyer Busan has rammed the alien command ship. Both ships destroyed." Lee nodded grimly. That was 40 good people dead, including Captain Minho Kang. But they had taken an alien flagship with them. "Pass this message to all ships," Lee said. "We are not trying to win this battle. We are trying to make them remember us." Chang Wu understood. Even if humanity lost this fight, they wanted the aliens to know that conquering humans would always be expensive. The battle continued for 6 hours. By the end, only 50 human ships were still fighting. The alien fleet had lost over 100 vessels, more than they had lost in the previous 1,000 years combined. Finally, Admiral Lee gave the order to retreat. The surviving human ships scattered in all directions, heading back toward the inner solar system. War Master Thelkorian watched them go. His fleet had won the battle, but he did not feel like celebrating. For the first time in his long military career, he had faced an enemy that preferred death to surrender. "Sir," his tactical officer said, "should we pursue the retreating humans?" Thelkorian thought for a moment. His fleet was damaged and his crew was shaken. They had expected an easy victory, not a bloody fight. "No," he said finally. "Let them go. We need time to repair our ships and think about what happened here." That night, in ships throughout the alien fleet, the crew members talked quietly, among themselves. They had always been told that war was a game with rules. The stronger side won, and the weaker side surrendered. That was how civilized beings settled disputes. But humans did not play by those rules. Humans fought like cornered animals, willing to die rather than give up. On Earth, President Park received Admiral Lee's report of the battle. 50 ships had escaped out of more than 300. It was a devastating defeat by any measure. But there was something else in the report that made her smile grimly. The aliens had lost over 100 ships to humanity's primitive fleet. That meant humans could hurt them. "What are our options now?" she asked her military advisors. "General," Choi looked at the star maps. "We need time to build more ships. The aliens will probably attack our inner colonies next." "How long do we have?" "Maybe 2 months," Admiral Lee said. "They will need time to repair their damage and bring up reinforcements," President Park nodded. "Then we use those 2 months to show them what humans do best." "What is that?" asked Chancellor Kang. Park looked out the window at the lights of the city below. Millions of people lived down there, going about their normal lives. They had no idea how close they had come to being conquered. "We adapt," she said simply. "The aliens think they know us because they watched us fight each other. But they have never seen what humans can do when we all fight together against a common enemy." In space near Pluto, the alien fleet began the slow process of repairing their damaged ships. They had won the first battle, but they had learned something that worried them. Humans were dangerous in ways they had never imagined, and dangerous enemies were the hardest kind to defeat. The galaxy was about to learn just how dangerous humans could be when they had nothing left to lose. 6 months had passed since the battle at Pluto. The galaxy was no longer the same peaceful place it had been. Human fleets now struck without warning across dozens of star systems. What had started as a simple extermination had become a nightmare for the Galactic Council Admiral Young-Sik Choi stood on the bridge of the carrier Seoul, watching his task force prepare for another raid. In 6 months, humanity had built thousands of new ships. They were still not as advanced as alien technology, but they were fast and deadly. "Target confirmed," reported his intelligence officer Jin Woo Park. "Threx supply convoy, 12 ships heading for the Kepler system." Choi studied the tactical display. The Threx were bringing supplies to their forward bases. If humans could destroy those supplies, the bug aliens would have trouble feeding their warriors. "Attack formation," Choi ordered. "We go in fast and hard." The human fleet consisted of 50 ships, all built in the new factories that had been constructed across the solar system. They looked different from the converted civilian vessels that had fought at Pluto. These were purpose-built warships, designed by humans who had learned from 6 months of desperate fighting. The attack came without warning. The Threx convoy was moving slowly through space when human ships appeared from behind an asteroid field. The aliens barely had time to send a distress signal before the attack began. Captain Yoonji Lee commanded the destroyer Incheon. Her ship was armed with nuclear missiles and the new plasma cannons that human scientists had developed by studying captured alien technology. "All weapons fire at will," she ordered. The human ships swarmed around the alien convoy like wolves attacking a herd of cattle. The Threx tried to form a defensive formation, but their supply ships were not built for combat. In 12 minutes, it was over. All 12 alien ships were destroyed. The human fleet disappeared back into space before alien reinforcements could arrive. News of the attack reached the Threx homeworld 3 days later. The hive mind buzzed with confusion and anger. "Humans attack our supply lines," the warrior drones reported. "They strike where we are weak." The Threx had never faced an enemy like this. In their culture, battles were fought between warrior castes according to ancient rules. Attacking supply ships was considered dishonorable, but humans did not care about honor. They cared about winning. On Earth, President Daeun Park received reports from all across human space. The war was spreading faster than anyone had expected. Human fleets were attacking alien colonies, destroying their communication stations and capturing their supply ships. "How many ships do we have now?" she asked Admiral Lee. 3,000 combat vessels, Lee replied, and more being built every day. Park nodded. 6 months ago, humanity had only a few hundred ships. Now they had the largest fleet in their history, but it had come at a terrible cost. "Casualties?" she asked. General Choi looked at her datapad. 50,000 dead, another 100,000 wounded. Park closed her eyes for a moment. 50,000 people, each one someone's son or daughter, mother or father, but they had died fighting for humanity's freedom. "The aliens are requesting another meeting," reported Chancellor Kang. "They want to discuss peace terms." Park laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Now they want to talk peace. Where was this offer 6 months ago?" "What should we tell them?" Kang asked. Park thought for a moment. Then she remembered the words of an ancient Earth leader. "Tell them, we will accept nothing less than unconditional surrender." The alien response came quickly. They rejected humanity's demand and threatened to bring even more ships from the core worlds. But the threats rang hollow. Everyone could see that the aliens were losing control of the situation. Dr. Il-sung Park worked in the Psychological Warfare Division, a new department that had been created to fight the aliens in ways they did not expect. His job was to study alien psychology and find ways to break their will to fight. broadcasting in all alien languages, he told his team. Send them the historical footage we prepared. Across the galaxy, alien communication networks were flooded with images from human history. The D-Day landings, where humans stormed beaches under heavy fire. The Battle of Stalingrad, where humans fought for every building in a ruined city. The Chosin Reservoir, where human marines fought their way out of an impossible trap. The aliens watched in horror as humans displayed their talent for organized violence. Species that had known only peace for thousands of years saw what humans could do when they were angry. The Keth collective consciousness began to fragment under the stress. The telepathic aliens could not handle the violent emotions that came from watching human warfare. Several Keth colonies went insane and had to be evacuated. The Velkari lost 3 home worlds when human fleets appeared in their core systems. The tall, pale aliens had never imagined that primitive humans could strike so deep into their territory. Captain Min Jun Kim led the attack on Velkaran Prime, the aliens' capital world. His fleet consisted of only 30 ships, but they carried a special weapon that human scientists had developed. Target their planetary defense grid, he ordered. The new weapon was based on alien technology, but humans had improved it in ways the aliens never imagined. Instead of trying to destroy the alien shields, it disrupted them by changing their frequency patterns. When the shields failed, human missiles rained down on military targets across the planet. The Velkari government abandoned their capital and fled to the outer colonies. News of the attack reached every corner of the galaxy within hours. For the first time in 3,000 years, a member world of the Galactic Council had been conquered. The other alien species began to panic. If humans could take Velkaran Prime, nowhere was safe. The Inari Empire, the most powerful member of the Council, tried to organize a counterattack. But human intelligence agents had infiltrated their communication networks. Every Inari battle plan was known to humans before it was even finalized. Fleet Commander Yejin Kang used this intelligence to set traps for alien fleets. When the Inari sent 100 ships to retake one of their lost colonies, they found 200 human ships waiting for them. The battle was a massacre. The Inari had superior technology, but humans had superior tactics. The alien fleet was destroyed without damaging a single human ship. Emperor Valks Thran of the Inari called an emergency session of the Galactic Council. Only 7 of the 12 member species attended. The others were too busy defending their own worlds. "We are losing this war," the Emperor admitted. "The humans are not fighting like a civilized species. They attack civilians. They ignore surrender offers. They use our own psychology against us." War Master Thelkorian, scarred from his battles with human fleets, agreed. "They fight like predators, not like intelligent beings. Every time we think we understand their strategy, they do something completely unexpected." The Threx representative clicked his mandibles nervously. The hive mind cannot process human tactical thinking. They appear to be random, but there is a pattern we cannot see. The truth was that humans were using a kind of warfare the aliens had never encountered. Every human commander made independent decisions based on the local situation. There was no central plan for the aliens to figure out and counter. This flexibility was humanity's greatest strength. When alien fleets moved to defend one system, human ships would appear somewhere else entirely. When the aliens tried to predict human movements, they found that humans had already changed their plans. On the planet Threxia Major, the insect aliens were learning what it meant to face human ground forces. Marine Colonel Sujin Kang led the invasion of their primary hive city. The Threx had never fought urban warfare before. Their warrior castes were designed for open battle in space or on empty worlds. They did not know how to fight in the narrow tunnels of their own cities. Human Marines, on the other hand, had centuries of experience in urban combat. They used explosives to collapse tunnel systems. They set fires that filled the hives with smoke. They used psychological warfare to panic. "The bug aliens! The humans are in Sector 7, reported a Threx warrior to the hive mind. They are using sonic weapons that disrupt our communication frequencies. The hive mind tried to coordinate a defense, but human tactics made it impossible. Small groups of Marines would attack one area, then disappear before reinforcements could arrive. The Threx never knew where the next attack would come from. Within a week, the largest Threx hive city had fallen. Millions of bug aliens fled to the outer colonies, leaving their home world to the humans. As reports of defeat after defeat reached the remaining alien governments, panic began to spread. Some species started making secret peace negotiations with humanity. Others tried to flee to distant galaxies. The Galactic Council, which had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years, was falling apart. President Park received a message from the Velkari High Command. They were offering to surrender their remaining fleets if humans would spare their civilian populations. "What do you think?" she asked her advisors. Admiral Lee studied the tactical reports. "If the Velkari surrender, the other species will follow. The war could be over in months instead of years." General Choi was not so sure. 2 years had passed since the aliens first threatened humanity. Now, Admiral Seok Jin Lee stood in the ruins of Nexus Prime, the former capital of the Galactic Council. The beautiful crystal spires that had once reached toward the stars lay in pieces across the planet's surface. The orbital bombardment had been necessary, Lee told himself. The Council leaders had refused to surrender even after their fleets were destroyed. They had hidden in their underground bunkers, still believing they could win through negotiation and politics. They had been wrong. "Sir, the remaining Council. Members are ready to meet with you," reported his aide, Lieutenant Kyung-Ho Park. Lee nodded. "Bring them up from the shelters. It is time to end this war." The meeting took place in what had once been the Council's Grand Assembly Hall. Now it was just a broken room with holes in the ceiling where human missiles had punched through. 7 aliens sat at a cracked table, representing what remained of the once mighty Galactic Council. Vexthala of the Velkari looked very different from the proud leader who had threatened humanity 2 years ago. His white skin was gray with exhaustion, and his black eyes seemed hollow. The Keth representatives floated in damaged containment suits. Several Threx clicked their mandibles nervously. "You asked for this meeting," Lee said simply. "What do you want?" Vexathala spoke first. His voice was barely a whisper. "We surrender, completely and unconditionally. Please, no more destruction." Lee studied the broken aliens. 2 years of war had taught them what humans were capable of. They had seen their fleets destroyed, their worlds conquered, their populations scattered. The proud species that had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years were now begging for mercy. "Your surrender is accepted," Lee said. "But surrender is not enough. You started this war by threatening to exterminate humanity. Now you will face the consequences." The aliens looked at each other with fear in their eyes. They had heard rumors about what humans did to their enemies. But Lee's next words surprised them. "President Park has decided to offer you something your council never offered us," he said. "A chance to survive and rebuild. On Earth, President Da-Yun Park was addressing a joint session of the new Galactic Assembly. Representatives from 43 different species sat in the Great Hall, including the former council members who had once tried to destroy humanity. The old Galactic Council claimed to bring peace to the galaxy, Park said. But their peace was based on fear and control. Any species that did not fit their idea of civilization was contained or eliminated. She looked directly at the alien representatives. Humanity offers a different kind of peace. We will not force you to change your cultures or abandon your ways of life, but we will not tolerate any attempts to suppress or control other species. The new Galactic Compact was very different from the old Council's rules. Instead of a small group of powerful species making decisions for everyone, each world got a vote in the Assembly. Conflicts would be resolved through negotiation, not force. But everyone understood that humanity would enforce these new rules with their powerful fleets if necessary. Governor General Hyunwoo Kim, the same man who had once stood alone before the Alien Council, now administered the former council territories from his office on New Seoul Station. The massive space station orbited what had once been Nexus Prime, serving as the new capital of human-controlled space. "How are the integration programs going?" he asked Rehabilitation Commissioner Sun-Hee Lee. Sun-Hee consulted her data pad. "Better than expected. About 30% of Velkari refugees have chosen to live under human protection. The Keth Collective is slowly healing with our psychological support. Even some Threx colonies are adopting human agricultural techniques." Kim nodded. It had been a surprising discovery that many aliens actually preferred living under human rule. Humanity offered something the old council never had: the freedom to make choices. "Any problems?" he asked. "Some resistance movements in the outer colonies," Sun-Hee admitted. "A few die-hard council supporters who still believe they can restore the old system. But our intelligence networks usually detect them before they can cause real trouble. The resistance movements were mostly harmless. The aliens who opposed human rule had no real support from their own people. Most alien civilians had discovered that humans, despite their reputation for violence, could be surprisingly fair rulers." The planet Velkaran Secondary, former council military officer Keth Morrill watched human children playing with young Velkari in the streets of New Seoul City. The sight still amazed him. 2 years ago, his people had been planning to exterminate humanity. Now human teachers were helping Velkari children learn to read. Human doctors were treating Velkari diseases. Human engineers were rebuilding Velkari cities. "How do you understand them?" he asked Dr. Mi-Young Choi, the human administrator of the refugee program. Dr. Choi looked up from her paperwork. "Understand who?" "Your people," Keth Morrill said. 2 years ago, you were killing us in space battles. Now you are helping our children learn to read. How can you change so quickly?" Dr. Choi smiled. "That is what makes humans dangerous and what makes us worth knowing. We can be your worst enemy or your best friend. The choice is usually yours." The former Threx hive worlds were experiencing changes that the insect aliens had never imagined. For thousands of years, every Threx had been assigned a role at birth by the hive mind. Workers stayed workers. Warriors stayed warriors. Scientists stayed scientists. But human advisors had introduced the concept of individual choice. Now, young Threx could decide for themselves what they wanted to do with their lives. Former hive worker Zik Thron had always dreamed of being a pilot, but the hive mind had assigned him to food production. Under human rule, he was finally able to attend flight school. "It is strange," he told his human instructor, Captain Bo-Ram Lee. "I was taught that individual desires were selfish and harmful to the hive." Captain Lee nodded. "Many human societies once believed similar things. We learned that individuals can be selfish, but they can also be creative and brave in ways that groups cannot. The economic changes were just as dramatic as the social ones. The old council had controlled trade through complex regulations that favored the most powerful species. Humanity introduced free market principles that allowed any species to compete. A Nari merchant, Veltaran, had once been limited to trading within his own empire's borders. Now he operated cargo ships across dozens of systems, carrying goods between species that had barely spoken to each other under the old system. "Humans understand commerce," he told his business partner, a Keth named Floating Thought of Profit. "They know that trade makes everyone richer. But not all changes were peaceful. The human military remained vigilant for signs of alien rebellion or outside threats. Fleet Admiral Young Sik Choi commanded the largest military force in galactic history. 3,000 human warships patrolled the space lanes, ensuring that the new order remained stable. "Any threats this month?" President Park asked during their monthly briefing. Choi consulted his reports. "Some smuggling in the Outer Rim, a few pirates trying to take advantage of the transition period. Nothing that local security forces could not handle." Park nodded. "And the alien military forces?" "Completely disbanded, as required by the surrender terms. Some former council officers have joined our merchant marine service. Others are working as civilian advisors. The integration of former enemies was perhaps humanity's greatest achievement. Instead of seeking revenge against the aliens who had tried to destroy them, humans had chosen to offer them a place in the new galactic order. This decision had surprised everyone, including many humans. But President Park had understood something important. Ruling through fear would make humanity no better than the old council. "We did not fight this war to become the new oppressors," she had told her advisors. "We fought for the right to be free. Now we must make sure others can be free, too." As the second anniversary of the war's end approached, Park stood on the observation deck of her orbital residence above Earth. Below her, the blue planet turned slowly in space, peaceful and beautiful. It was hard to believe that this small world had produced the species that now dominated the galaxy. But humanity had always been good at doing the impossible. "Your thoughts, Madam President?" asked her aide, Commander Jin-Ho Kang. Park smiled. "I was thinking about the alien delegation that first threatened us. They said we were too dangerous to be allowed to spread among the stars." "They were not wrong," Kang observed. "No," Park agreed. "But they misunderstood what made us dangerous. They thought it was our violence and aggression. But those were just tools. Our real strength was our refusal to accept limits." She gestured toward the stars beyond Earth's atmosphere. "Every human who looks up at the night sky sees not barriers, but possibilities. The aliens tried to put us in a cage, and we broke out of it." Kang nodded. "What do you think the future holds?" Park considered the question. Humanity now controlled the largest empire in galactic history, but they ruled it differently than any previous power. Instead of imposing human culture on other species, they encouraged diversity and innovation. The results were already visible. New technologies were being developed through cooperation between human and alien scientists.